Korean Mafia boss kept cheating thinking his wife was weak, until she left and never came back. The night she walked out, no one tried to stop her. Not the guards posted at every corner of the mansion. Not the staff who had spent years silently watching everything unfold. Not even the man who ruled half of Seoul's underground world with a single word. Kang Jae-min didn't look up when the door closed behind his wife. He simply poured himself another drink. "She'll be back," he muttered, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "They always come back, but this time, she didn't." For years, everyone believed the same thing about Yoon Era. She was quiet, gentle, soft-spoken, the kind of woman who bowed her head, avoided conflict, and never raised her voice, even when she had every reason to. To the outside world, she was the elegant wife of a powerful man. To those inside the mansion, she was invisible. And to Jae-min, she was convenient. He married her 5 years earlier, not for love, but for peace. Her father had once been a respected businessman with connections that even Jae-min's empire couldn't ignore. The marriage was meant to strengthen alliances, stabilize territories, and keep enemies at bay. It worked, but the moment the papers were signed, Era stopped mattering. Jae-min returned to his real life: late nights, dangerous deals, and women who laughed too loudly at his jokes and never asked questions. He didn't bother hiding it. Why would he? Era never complained, never confronted him, never cried in front of him. She would simply greet him at the door when he came home, take his coat, and ask softly, "Have you eaten?" At first, it irritated him. Then, it bored him. Eventually, he stopped noticing her altogether. But there were things he never saw. Like how Era would stay up all night waiting for him, only to fall asleep sitting upright on the couch. Or how she quietly paid the hospital bills of one of the housemaids whose child needed surgery, without ever telling anyone. Or how she would cook meals for the guards working overnight shifts, placing them outside their stations with handwritten notes, "Please eat while it's warm." She never asked for recognition. And no one offered it. Because kindness, in that house, was mistaken for weakness. The first time she saw him with another woman, she said nothing. It was late. She had gone to his office to leave tea on his desk. The door was slightly open. And inside, she saw everything. Laughter, intimacy, betrayal laid bare under the harsh glow of chandelier light. For a moment, she just stood there. Still, silent. Then she gently placed the tray on the floor, and walked away. No tears, no confrontation, just quiet. That night, Jae-min found the tea outside his office. Cold, untouched. He frowned briefly, then shrugged it off. He didn't notice that Era never brought him tea again. Months passed, then years. His affairs became more frequent, more careless. Sometimes he would bring women into the house. Sometimes he wouldn't come home at all. And Era, she remained the same, calm, composed, unshaken, until the night everything changed. It was raining heavily, the kind of storm that blurred the city lights into streaks of gold and white. Jae-min returned home later than usual, slightly drunk, his patience thinner than ever. He stepped into the foyer and paused. The house felt different. Too quiet. No staff rushing to greet him. No soft footsteps. No familiar presence waiting in the shadows. "Era," he called out lazily. No answer. He loosened his tie, walking deeper into the mansion. Something felt off, and then he saw it. A suitcase, placed neatly by the door. His expression darkened. "What is this?" Before he could think further, she appeared, standing at the top of the staircase. Dressed simply, no jewelry, no makeup, just herself. For a moment, he didn't recognize her. She looked lighter, as if something invisible had been lifted off her shoulders. "I'm leaving," she said. Her voice was calm, steady, unfamiliar. Jae-min let out a short laugh. "Don't be ridiculous." "I'm not." He walked closer, irritation creeping into his tone. "Where would you even go? That's not your concern anymore." Something about the way she said it made him pause. There was no anger, no sadness, just certainty. "You're overreacting," he scoffed. "If this is about, it's not about them," she interrupted softly. That surprised him. "Then what is it about?" Era looked at him for a long moment, as if memorizing his face. "Or maybe, letting go of it. It's about me, she said. The words hung in the air. Heavy, unfamiliar. Jae-min frowned. I've given you everything, he said. This house. This life. You gave me a place, she replied. Not a life. Silence. The kind that made the walls feel closer. You don't mean that, he said, his voice sharper now. I do. She picked up the suitcase. Walked down the stairs, each step echoing louder than the last. You'll regret this, he warned. She stopped just inches away from him. For the first time in 5 years, she looked him directly in the eyes. I already regret staying this long. And then, she walked past him. No hesitation. No turning back. The door opened, closed, and just like that, she was gone. At first, Jae-min didn't react. He stood there, unmoving, staring at the door as if expecting it to open again. It didn't. Minutes passed, then hours. The storm outside continued, but inside, everything felt strangely still. Finally, he exhaled sharply and grabbed his phone. She left, he said to his assistant. Find her. It should have been easy. He had resources, connections, eyes everywhere. But days turned into weeks, and there was nothing. No bank activity, no sightings, no trace. It was as if Yoon-era had simply disappeared. The house felt different without her. Not emptier, just colder. The meals stopped appearing. The quiet acts of care vanished. Even the staff seemed more distant. Jae-min tried to ignore it. He threw himself into work, into distractions, into anything that didn't require him to think. But small things kept breaking through. Like the night he opened a drawer and found dozens of neatly folded handwritten notes. Each one labeled with dates, reminders, appointments, meals he liked, things he had never noticed, things she had been quietly managing all along. He stared at them for a long time, then shoved the drawer shut. A month later, something unexpected happened. One of his men was injured during a deal gone wrong. Critical condition. They rushed him to a private clinic. Jae-min arrived shortly after, expecting chaos. Instead, he found calm, organized, efficient, doctors moving with precision, nurses working seamlessly. It didn't match the reputation of the place. Who's running this? He asked. The nurse hesitated, then answered. Director Yoon. Jae-min froze. Yoon. Yes, sir. She took over recently, completely transformed the facility. His chest tightened. No, that's not possible. But then, he saw her, across the room, wearing a simple white coat. Hair tied back, focused, confident, alive in a way he had never seen before. Yoon-era. She was speaking to a patient's family, her voice calm, reassuring, steady. They looked at her with gratitude, respect, something Jae-min had never given her. For a moment, he just stood there, watching, unable to move, unable to understand. This version of her, this strength, this presence, where had it been all this time? Or had he simply never looked? Era turned, their eyes met, and everything stopped. No shock, no anger, just recognition. She excused herself and walked toward him. Each step measured, controlled. You shouldn't be here, she said quietly. Jae-min swallowed. I didn't know this was your place. It is now. He looked around again, at the people she was helping, at the life she had built, without him. You disappeared, he said. I left, she corrected. That's not the same thing. To you, maybe. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration mixing with something unfamiliar. You could have told me. I tried, she said. For 5 years. The words hit harder than he expected. I didn't. You didn't listen. Silence again. But this time, it felt different. He studied her face. There was no trace of the woman he used to know. Or maybe, this was who she had always been. You've changed, he said. Era shook her head slightly. No, she replied. I've just stopped disappearing. The doctor approached, updating her about the injured man. She nodded, gave instructions, then turned back to Jae-min. He'll be fine, she said. We'll take care of him. Jae-min stared at her. You always did, he murmured. She didn't respond. Instead, she stepped back, creating distance. Professional. Final. Take care of yourself, Jae-min. And just like that, she turned away, returning to her world. A world where she was no longer invisible. Jae-min stood there long after she left his sight. For the first time in years, he felt something he couldn't control. Not anger, not power, but something quieter, heavier, regret, and somewhere deep inside, a realization he couldn't escape. He had mistaken her silence for weakness, her kindness for submission, her patience for dependence. But the truth was, she had never been weak. She had simply been choosing him. Until the day she chose herself instead.